Hi, it's Friday. It's 3 o'clock. Welcome to Together Unlocked, brought to you as always by Together 2012. We're a disabled led arts organisation based in East London in the main London 2012 Paralympic host borough of Newham. I'm Jude Gosling, also known as the artist June 90. We're here in my studio in Canning Town, myself and our chair, the artist and documenter Julie Newman. She, of course, as regular viewers will know, has been stuck here since March because it's better for us to live at work. That's the kind of organisation we are. Before I come to Julie for some audio description and introductions, I'm going to go to the other end of our long virtual wheeled sofa in the West Midlands to not only have some introductions and audio description, but because it's Friday, some explanations as to what you're dressing up to go out to stay in to do. That is our regular Friday feature, and we'd love to see photos and videos of you dressing up to go out to stay in as well. So, over to Sutton Coldfield.
Hi, I'm Josh Surgener. I'm one of the other hosts of Together Unlocked, and I am a PhD student. Uh, Today, I have my ever growing blonde hair that is now, I think, finally long enough that I can start kind of styling it into kind of surfer chic, which is the hopeful aesthetic, and I think probably misguided in my ability to style it. Uh, Other than that, I have a little bit of a ginger beard growing because I need to trim that. And I am wearing a sweatshirt that is horizontal stripes of dark red and then kind of almost white. It's kind of red and white, kind of spackle, I guess, I think, but without the pointy bits. And that is a jumper for the Miami Heat because it is still the NBA finals are still ongoing. So I am still dressed, ready to represent the team uh, courtside to cheer them on, and hopefully they can um, win tonight. So yeah.
So we'll come back to that later in our something for the weekend section where we recommend things that you can do at home, online and offline. So over to you, Robin.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Robin Surgener. I'm business director at Together 2012, and also an artist known as Angry Fish. I think I should be able to say an international artist, particularly as I'm on iTunes and Amazon and everything else.
We could all say that, but for speed, let's just stick
Sorry.
to artist.
um, so yeah, and I'm using my artistic eye to notice the very subtle difference between the ginger beer and the blonde hair. um, so, what do I look like today? Today, I am having grey white hair, as ever, reasonably well shaved. I am wearing no rimmed black armed uh, glasses. I'm wearing a mainly blue polo shirt with white strips coming down from the shoulders to under the armpit, which or the neck to the armpit, and then it says samurai on one side, which is shamelessly plugging themselves as the makers of the shirt, and on the other side is a Union Jack with somebody playing wheelchair basketball, kind of sprinting away from the flag.
Going out with the
Um,
flag.
that's because I am going to be staying home, but going out to support a GB wheelchair basketball match. And just to finish up, in the background behind us, we have a white background, but hanging, you can, for those who can see, about two-thirds of a bass drum skin, which is decorated with a picture of a um, very looking angry fish with large teeth and the letters AF for angry fish.
And that's on a sort of piece of fabric that's supposed to look a little bit like a marquee because, well, hey, we're just coming out of the summer, but soon to be swapped for those theatrical curtains. Julie, who are you? What do you look like? And
I'm
what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do?
I'm Julie Newman. I've got increasingly growing gold and silver hair. Unfortunately, I'm not a surfer, so I can't aspire to such
Well, you do
giddy heights.
sail.
Neither can
I,
I just
um,
like to be.
I've got dark rimmed glasses. I've got a black T-shirt with a cat constellation on it. um, And I'm going to pick up Professor Maggie Pocock, and we're going to go to the moon and have tea with the clangers.
That actually sounds like the most attractive proposition I've heard for a long time. So I'm Jude Gosling, also known as the artist Ju90. I mean, Julie is actually really ginger or redhead, but faded to gold. And I'm an aspiring redhead, so I've been hennaing my hair for about 40 years. But although I do, in more usual times, actually surf, if only on a bodyboard, I have a self-styled Corona crop, which is a kind of very moth-eaten short hairstyle. Not one I think that's likely to catch on after 2020, 2021. I've got black plastic glasses, I've got black wrist braces, silver coloured jewellery, and I'm wearing a white t shirt with some South Korean writing on, and also in English it says Gwangju. Gwangju means city of light. It's a city in the south of Korea that I was actually so lucky to be invited to speak at a couple of years ago at the World Human Rights Cities Forum. So the World Human Rights Cities Forum takes place in Gwangju because they're a real capital of human rights. Every year at this time, and this year it's online too. So South Korea is 9 hours ahead, so it's been a bit tricky to try and catch up with any of the friends that I made in South Korea other than emailing them. But tonight I'm intending to stay up and attend the session that starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. Korean time. You can work that one out for yourself. It starts at midnight. So it kind of depends how long I can stay up, how long I'm going to go for. But this is what I am ready dressed to do. So I will be in front of YouTube or the website. It's I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful movement. It comes from the kind of struggle for democracy and human rights in South Korea and other pan Asian Pacific countries. But it's just such a kind of powerful movement, and the idea that each city can take individual responsibility for human rights. I was invited to talk in a country that is not really renowned for the residents and kind of citizens' respect for LGBT rights, but because of the overwhelming commitment to human rights, they wanted me to tell all of them how they could better include disabled LGBT people in cities. So I just found that really impressive, had a lovely time. So I'm really looking forward to doing that tonight. I want to just move on now and flag up some of the rest of what you're going to see today. We have coming up, we have a profile first with Awa Jagnay. Awa is a member of our associate drama company, Act Up Newham, and we're profiling the members as part of our Black History Month coverage. We also have an interview with Robin is interviewing the musician Remy Fox Novak. So, very excited about that. And under Something for the Weekend, we will also be talking more about World Mental Health Day. World Mental Health Day is tomorrow. This show is dedicated to the memory of Aaron Basher and to his friends who are doing the Calm Walk for World Mental Health Day tomorrow. We're very aware of how difficult it has been, in particular for young people with mental health difficulties this year, and the mental health burdens that it's placed on all young people, which of course have just got worse as on the one hand, young people have been blamed for the rise in infections, and on the other hand, many of them locked down at university, or as with Josh, locked out of university. So we think it's really important to commemorate that. We will be putting up links to everything we discuss on the show as usual on our highlights and links page. That page is under the main Together Unlocked TV page on our website. And there's also going to be a link to the fundraising page for Aaron Basher and the Calm Walk, and more details of how anybody else can join in the Calm Walk, unless you're shielding, of course. So, did anybody want to add something at this point around World Mental Health Day?
It's been going for a wee while. It's been going since the early 90s. And it started off because there were real concerns about people with mental health difficulties being treated internationally, in fact, globally, I suppose is the better word. So the idea really was to raise awareness and to, I suppose, create a level of scrutiny within each country. And significant changes have been made, and I think that's worth noting, because I know, for example, in Hungary, there were a lot of difficulties with um, disabled young children who had been put into institutions, and their mental health was completely neglected. So sort of, I am mindful that things are changing, and I think the Calm Walk is a very good example of it. But there are websites where you can get further information. Plus, you can get information about if you need help or assistance. You can do it either by speaking to somebody on the telephone or by emailing them.
And I think one of the, if you like, advantages of it being World Mental Health Day is it allows us to sort of look beyond this little island. I know I was very struck when I was in Gwangju to learn about people with mental health difficulties in Japan who are almost always institutionalized. You know, we tend to forget with care in the community and indeed a total lack of services that in other countries it's not always like that. And the level of institutionalization in Japan is really quite shocking. Also, I think that's really been in the press over the last few days is in developing countries where there's no services and no treatment, and all of the stigma, which in fact we still have here today, that people are chained up. And that is apparently very common in countries across the world where they just don't have services. And, to think about being in emotional and mental distress and to be in chains, which also means you can't wash properly or indeed do anything else. And people are chained up in outhouses literally for decades. So it really does kind of not bring our own problems into relief, because I think everybody's problems are very real, but I think it shows what we need to do in terms of not just including disabled people in international aid, but really making them central, because it's just shocking beyond words. And finally, of course, in our very own country, many young people with mental health difficulties in particular, if they're in mental distress, it's redefined as challenging behavior. And then instead of them being seen as young people with mental health difficulties, they're seen as a problem. And of course, Panorama, among others, have exposed the appalling conditions. Most of these young people are hundreds of miles away from home. They're in private facilities operated on behalf of the NHS. The staff aren't trained properly. There's been report after report. So, again, I think if we look to the sort of institutions across the world and the chaining across the world, it's so important that our young people with learning difficulties in particular have a voice here. But we've done all the talking in London, so I'm going to go over to Sutton Coldfield.
Can I just say, just picking up the Calm thing, which is the
Which
organisation,
we will come back to.
but it's quite noticeable that 78% of young people who commit suicide are men, and this organisation is specifically for supporting men.
Yeah, and like I say, we'll come back to that later. But I do just want to give you two a chance to come in before we move over and have a look at the work of Arwa Jagnay.
Okay, great, thanks. I was one of the things I was going to say was, you know, the stigma that still surrounds it obviously is huge, and what that does is it makes people reticent to either be out be outspoken about their situation, or in fact to try to pretend that they haven't got an issue. And I think that kind of goes back that what we don't do even in this first world country very well is tackle the whole wellness issue. Well, we hear all this. You can go to every bookshop and find um you know stacks of mindfulness coloring books, but what does it mean? What is it? Yeah, it's nice and calming to color, perhaps, if that's what works for you. But I think that, anything that raises the awareness and raises the question of, well, how do people end up with mental health issues? Now, obviously, I do realize that some of those are organic, and would have happened anyway. But a lot of the situations arise out of how people experience their lives, or the things that they experience within their lives. So if we can find ways of identifying the beginnings of the processes that lead to somebody becoming unwell, then we can address those situations much more effectively. And then hopefully there will be less people, young, old, or otherwise, that actually end up experiencing illness as opposed to kind of managed wellness.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And well, yes, I couldn't agree more. I can't remember exactly what else I was going to say, but no doubt it may pop back into my mind, in which case we will pick this up again, like I say, under something for the weekend, when we look at some of the other activities that are taking place to commemorate World Mental Health Day. But in the meantime, we're going to move on, and as part of our Black History Month celebrations, we're going to profile another member of ACT UP Newham. And then we have further profiles coming up next week on Wednesday and Friday.
Hi everyone, I was Johnny and I am 22 years old and I am a member of ACT UP Newham. I like writing shows. Right now I'm writing my own piece. During this lockdown, I have made a YouTube channel called Relax with Our, where I do a lot of exercise for the body and mind to help people to relax during the lockdown, which I'm very happy about. In the future, I'd like to open like a center for yoga and meditation that way in the future. Was in a job with ACT called Outside the Top before I went to Orpheus, and in that show my character hated the social workers. I want to say to Johnny, we have to discuss this with the team. The social worker stopped my character from doing things that were challenging. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, I am 17 years old, and I worry that picture. I worry that there will be a house for me to live in, or a job for me to do. You are taking all the money that has to take the people. Why do you hate the people so much? The reason why I love being in ACT UP because I like to show people that I am, although I have a disability, that I can do acting as a yoga. My disability things stop me from doing anything that I want to do. So I love ACT UP and I love the people in ACT UP. They are like my second family. It's going to cost money. Money. And they wonder why I shout.
And I have to say, Arwa is one of my favourite young artists, disabled or not. And ACT UP will be back next week with another film for us and are rehearsing as I speak for their production of I Am Tony for the Together Disability History Month Festival. And we're going to be bringing you the programme for that on Monday. So do tune in till 3. But this is a good opportunity for me to say that if you miss the live show, the recordings are available with embedded captions from about 8 o'clock the evening. And if you want to be sure of seeing the real captions from our wonderful team at Global Real Time Captioning, it's probably best to watch it the next day, because YouTube, you can't really predict when they're going to process the captions, but what I can predict is it always takes longer on a Friday. So this live stream takes place as part of our Join In From Home programme, and what we're going to do next is tell you a bit more about how you can join in from home. Together 2012 is running a Join In From Home programme from our website, together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join In From Home, to go straight to the main page, where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. So, for example, we have an arts club which usually operates on a Tuesday with craft-based activities and on a Friday morning for drawing and painting. Here you can join in with the arts club's Hands project and celebrate your uniqueness and membership of the human race. There are full instructions on the linked page here. But essentially, we invite you to draw around your hand on a piece of card. It could be an old cereal packet. Cut the shape out, turn it over, and decorate it with anything you would like to do. It could be paints, crayons, glitter, collage, beads, leaves, anything you can think of. Photograph your hand or hands and send it to us at tv@together2012.org.uk. We'll add it to our video installation and share it on social media. Our music club usually meets on the first Friday of each month. We have an open mic session and we invite everybody to play along with percussion instruments. So here you can learn how to make your own percussion instruments from recycled materials. And you can also join in a percussion workshop from last summer in terms of carnival percussion. So these 3 instruments are used most often in carnival. We have a shaker and a go-go and a hand drum. So this is how to make a recycled shaker, a recycled go-go, and a recycled hand drum. You can also, if you're technically minded, make your own tactile sound instrument. This does require a few simple electronics, but is a very interesting and exciting project as part of our Vibrafusion ongoing work. You can also listen with Together. We have Spotify playlists created by Robin Surgener, also known as our TV presenter Angry Fish, and we also have 2 classical music playlists from Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, including one that's uniquely suited to people who are feeling very unwell. So that's more about our Join In From Home programme. The full video that tells you about all of the different activities is also available at the top of the web page, and there are videos, as they said, with BSL2. We're going to come back and look at some more visual arts next Friday. If you're working at home, we'd love to see your paintings, drawings, any other kind of visual art, or indeed your poems, your films, and everything else. But now we're going to celebrate a bit more music, and here is an interview that Robin recorded a little bit earlier with the musician Remy Fox Novak. So I'm just going to pop that on.
Hi, and welcome to our inaugural music interview for the Together Unlocked TV show. And I would like to introduce you to Remy Fox Novak, who is a musician I've worked with previously, and I think he would be fantastic on the show. So, Remy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi there, yeah. My name is Remy Fox Novak. I am a producer, mostly with electronic music, although occasionally I sing and do other things as well.
Brilliant. And whereabouts are you from?
I'm currently based in Nottingham. I'm brought up in the West Midlands in Shropshire, which I still spend a lot of time in.
So, Remy, what got you into music in the first place?
Oh, I don't know. I have vivid memories of long drives up to Manchester, where I was actually born, where I was having consultations with various doctors and operations. So it was always a long drive, about an hour and a half from Shropshire. And I just remember loving listening to the music in the car. I mean, it sounds a bit sinister now, but my dad was quite into the Clockwork Orange soundtrack at the time. But I absolutely loved it. I remember finding it terrifying, but in a thrilling kind of way. And I think that's always left quite a mark on me. I always loved listening to music in the car. Although I don't drive, I don't really ride around in cars anymore, although wherever I walk, I've always got my headphones on. So I don't know, electronic music always seemed, I was exposed to electronic music quite early on, so it felt natural to go in that direction. Also, because electronic music perhaps more accessible for those with disabilities, I've played with various bits of software over the years. I eventually did a music technology course at A-level, well, BTEC level, where I learned Sonar and other digital audio workstations. And it's kind of flowered on from there, really.
Do you feel that your music is a reflection of your life at all? So do you try, you talked about journeys and you talked about hospitals and you talked about the Clockwork Orange. Where does your music come from? What inspires you?
I suppose it's always an expression of my feelings. And I mean, there have been times when I've written poppier music, and I suppose that comes from a happier time and place. But I think the last time I was in that mode was early 2016. Things have got a bit strange since then, and so I think my music has become noisier, more aggressive since then. And I think that's a reflection of my own mood and how I see the world. I'm not a politically engaged person. I keep up with the news, not just here, but around the world, America, etc. And whilst a lot of my music is instrumental, I like to leave some calling cards about how I'm feeling in the titles, and yeah, there's little things like that, just to signpost the feelings I'm having when writing this music.
Okay, so to bring it kind of up to probably the last 6 or 7 months, you know, lots of creative people have found lockdown both inspiring and blocking kind of at the same time in different ways. So, well, as a disabled person and an artist, kind of what has your lockdown experience been?
It's been a bit of both, as you say. Actually, I think I'm a key worker. I look after people with cerebral palsy, so I've been working throughout this pandemic. And I suppose on that side of things, there's been a hint of normality, and that I've had, you know, still been commuting every day, and not every day, but, you know, regularly. In terms of creatively, it's a double-edged sword. I think having all that time has been great. I've finished a couple of albums, which that's fantastic. But on the flip side, I'm lost at the moment in terms of promoting, in terms of getting those things released, or whether to get a commission, or all these kind of things. At the moment, I'm kind of that's out my headspace, not on purpose, but to cope with the reality of the pandemic. And you know, it's been difficult. It's been a long distance relationship. I didn't see my partner for like over 100 days, and now it's, you know, it's looking like we're having more lockdowns. So I might not see her again for a little while. So any spare time I've had has really been to reconnect. Yeah, on the creative side, I'm kept creative. A small bonus has been that I've saved money, and so I've spent money as well, like on the ridiculous thing behind us. So creatively, it's very good. I think it's allowed me the time and the finances to build my my studio, so to speak. But on the other side, it feels like, you know, I can't play the gigs. I can't actually get out there and perform. I definitely love going to see people play live, and play live myself in front of an audience of people. I think as the same person, I don't know really. I feel lucky to have like a supportive family who I'm living with at the moment. I work looking after people with disabilities as well, so it always puts my own disability in perspective. But yeah, a lot in terms of opportunities, do feel a bit stuck at the moment.
Okay, no, I mean, I think, you know, you are by no means unique, and I think almost most experiences are paralleled. People's experiences are paralleled in some way of that. So just, you alluded earlier, kind of in your introduction, that you've used electronic dance music. If you were to say to another disabled person who you knew would struggle with a traditional instrument, how would you sell them that electronic music is a way forward?
Well, I mean, electronic music is very broad. How we can make electronic music is extremely broad. I mean, the technology is amazing now. You can make music on your mobile. I have thought a lot about how to make music making or music playing rather than making. It doesn't. No one has to make records or, you know, do all that kind of thing. But just to enjoy, like, play music, how can that be made more accessible? So, like I say, I work with people with cerebral palsy. So one of the things that I found very liberating was these touchscreens, these tablets, iPads, etc. But that's not necessarily for everyone. Certainly, some people who have like real difficulty with their motor skills to be able to actually manipulate a very sensitive touchscreen. Just keeping on the program can be quite frustrating for some people. I'm not that techy, which may surprise you. I'm not interested in computer games or anything like that. Yeah, I did want to play guitar. I just, unfortunately, with my hands, I have my left hand, which pretty much does most things. My right hand, which is, it lets me down quite a bit. So with the guitar, it was like I had a left-handed one, and the right-handed ones, I couldn't strum them, and then with the left-handed one, my right hand couldn't manipulate the fretboard. So it really depends on the disability. I think there's all sorts of like clever routes out there. Like I did a commission with great music, and we're always looking to try and make not just music making, but music playing and instrument creation accessible. Even if it's not making music at the end of it all, I know some people who just love the machines and don't actually care about the making a song. They just love that they programmed this instrument. Yeah, electronic music is just more accessible. It's more immediate. It is possible now to make full songs on your mobile phone or your computer or whatever. Or there's all these various boxes by these days, and it really just depends on what someone wants to get out of it.
So Remy, you've recorded as a piece of music today, which we've got a film showing you using your technology to create the sounds. Would you just like to give us a really brief introduction into the piece?
Yeah, sure. It's a limited piece that I've prepared for this broadcast. So it came from me creating a sound on this hardware, but also interacting with the iPad as well, and then using a controller, which I've lost it now. Oh no, here it is. With this thing, this is fantastic by the way. It's wireless, so it's always a lot of fun to play with that thing. And as much as it's just to be playing with knobs and the touch panel thing over here, it's all about how I made the sound in the first place and how I programmed the machines to do. So all that took about 2 days to actually program the things, but then play it, yeah, it's a doddle. It's printing knobs and buttons.
Well, and you make it look simple. So thank you very much, Remy. And I look forward to being able to work with you in the real world again sometime soon.
Yeah, it will happen. You know, this won't last forever, this pandemic. So, you know, I'll say to everyone, you know, keep safe, and we'll see each other again. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much indeed for that, Robin and Remy. We always have live music on a Friday, but that's the first time it's been composed, especially. We do have, I have to say, a couple of anthems where we have rewritten the words. You can find them under the Together Unlocked TV pages. There's a special page for that. There is also a highlights and links page. It's the first thing you'll come to after the main shows. We'll put all of the videos from today as well as the links up onto that page. So if you'd like to see the interview with Remy again, listen to his music, or find out more about Arwa, that will be under highlights and links, along with the links to everything we've discussed so far and everything we're going to talk about now as we come on to recommend for you something for the weekend. I think what we'll do is start with the things that don't relate to World Mental Health Day, and then we can spend a bit more time on that. And for once, if I can grab my piece of paper, it's amazing how we're surrounded here in the studio by technology, but we still run out of gadgets and everything critical is on paper. So I am going to recommend to anybody who is interested in LGBTQI plus films, there's a wonderful film festival taking place physically in Cardiff, but available online everywhere, called Iris. And Iris is a prize. So it's the world's largest short film festival prize. And this year, the festival is completely free. So not only do you not have to go to Cardiff, you also don't have to pay. And they're premiering the different films, but then they're also keeping them online the whole of October. So it started on the 6th, which I think was Tuesday. It runs through the weekend. There's some great live stuff tomorrow and Friday because you get the live prize awards, and you also then get the live DJ tomorrow night. And then there's live stuff all day tomorrow, but also everything they've been showing since Tuesday is already there to watch online. I always think the nice thing about short films is if you don't like them, they're soon over. And if you can't concentrate for very long, you can take in the whole story and just the variety. Our own film festival, and we'll tell you a bit more about that next week, is mostly short films. We also do show features every evening, but I just love the variety that you get from short films. So if you want to see something a bit different, you certainly don't have to be gay to watch it. That's the Iris Prize Films in Cardiff, but free all over the world through October. Julie, what have you got for us that isn't World Mental Health Day related?
Sunday afternoon, the British Library has got 20 poets reading a poem each as part of a prize, and that's all online. I can't remember the name of the prize. I think it's something like Forward Prize. It's not a particularly remarkable name, but I'm looking forward to it because there's a range of poets, and I think it'd be very interesting to hear, just from different people.
Yeah, and of course, although I forget her name at this instant, I think it is Louise, though, a woman poet, won the Nobel Prize for Literature this week, which was apparently very unusual indeed. But I don't know her work. I saw a lovely photo of her with Barack Obama quite recently, but I'm really looking forward to reading her work. So, indeed, we will pop both of those poetry links up and look forward to next Wednesday when we once more celebrate all things poetry with the Together Pop Up Poetry Club. So over to the West Midlands. Who wants to start?
So I can start. So I had a couple of arty ones. So the German Society of Nature Photographers have just announced their kind of winners and runner-up for their 2020 nature photography um, competition, and they've just kind of put those out. And there's an overall winner, and then there's kind of winners and runner-up for there's lots of different categories, kind of mammals, birds, water, landscapes, and there's some. I mean, we're looking at them before the show. There's some amazing photos in there. So yeah, if you've got kind of 5 minutes, and that's something really interesting to kind of to look through, because yeah, there's some incredible pictures.
And presumably, for anybody who's been watching the show regularly, one of the things we look at on a Monday is photography and film. And over the summer, and I'm sure we'll come back to it over the winter, we've talked quite a lot about nature film and photography that you can do from home. So, yeah, and I imagine as well the backgrounds in Germany and Central Europe are going to be a bit different as well. So, yeah, that sounds really relaxing and good for mental health.
And then the other one that also links in with Monday's show. I'm in a bit of a Star Wars mindset, having played the new game, and there's the new series coming out at the end of the month. Um, so one of the things that I'm going to do this weekend is rewatch Star Wars, because I love Star Wars. It's great, and there's loads of films. I think there's 11 films. So what will be on the highlights page is a recommended viewing order if anyone does want to watch Star Wars, or if you haven't seen it or rewatch it.
Lost track about the third film, which of course confusingly is now no longer number 3. So yeah, I'll be checking that one out.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't promise
there's
I'll
a
watch all the
recommended
films yet.
viewing order. And aside from kind of being good fun, some of the filmmaking and technology that's used in them is truly, groundbreaking. Some of the work from the films in the 70s through to the stuff that came out last year. There's some truly incredible kind of advances in filmmaking, but also the kind of the story and how it relates to today's world is also kind of quite good and quite important. So
And very escapist just when we need it most. Robin.
Yeah, just to add on, I mean, one of the days I'll find out whether we can, there's any chance of getting him anywhere near one of our shows. But my best mate's brother is a film producer, director, um, animator called Darren Walsh, and he made like all of the adverts with the
bees,
gophers, the bees for
Vodafone.
but he's done work with Spielberg and Lucas and stuff, so he would be really great. But that whole Star Wars thing, I remember where he talk about where you do your art. He literally drew he redrew Star Wars on their bedroom wall, and it was incredible. And he was about 9 at the time. A full exploded view of the Millennium Falcon and all that. Anyway, so that unfortunately I don't think his bedroom wall is online. I'm sorry. So for the weekend, I mean, I'm actually going to move it on a bit now and start to look towards the fact that it is World Mental Health Day tomorrow, and we're going to move into that as discussion. So my idea for the weekend really is a kind of a wellness activity. We talked a lot about how you can kind of be creative to help yourself, various activities that you might use to for calmness or to for cathartic reasons to get your feelings out. And what I've come up with is something that I'm going to endeavor to do myself. I mean, it might start this evening or tomorrow morning, but it's to actually kind of set myself a challenge to write a word, a sentence, or maybe something ever so slightly longer, but something very quickly, something that will only take a couple of minutes, every hour, every 90 minutes over the weekend. So I'm putting down how I'm feeling at that moment. So it's not looking out the window and wondering. I want people are going to actually take that thought as it is at the moment, put it down, and then at the end of the weekend, put those in order, or certainly look at them in order, and then use that as some kind of a platform for, it could just be a list of how I felt, but it could become a poem, it could become a song. But I think what I would like other people to do to think about, and I'll kind of I'll write a brief description for the website, is that idea is that it's kind of like an hour, like a wellness diary, but it's done over 36 or 48 hours. You don't have to get up in the night. Okay. But
Yes, you are anyway.
well, yeah. I mean, unless you're up in Kwangju. Um, yeah, but I just and it'd be really nice. And actually, from a show point of view, if any viewers out there, listeners out there, do this, it would be really great to have that sent in for preferably Wednesday as the kind of creative writing day, but certainly to see that from as we move forward.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea. And we've talked on Wednesdays before about some of the cut up poetry techniques. And our international artist, the club's program leader, Alison Marchant, we've looked at her poems and how she literally takes other poets' words and cuts them up. So it's a kind of extension of that, but with your own words. And I think if I remember to do it, and this is a whole different issue when you don't have much short term memory or a memory prompt, I might just look for between 1 and 3 words, so that it doesn't become a chore.
Yeah.
I just write down, like, say, 1 or 2, 3 at the most words, and then think about adding them all up later. And often poetry comes from those times when you're really focused on your feelings, and then you can think about, well, what is it that's made me feel like that? And if it's something external, that's quite a good time to start writing about it if you're into that kind of thing. Not compulsory.
No,
Do you think of a visual arts equivalent? Is it a doodle an
I was
hour?
gonna say, I mean, I was always a doodler. My I have, if I'd kept them, I've got some amazing doodles, but they're very sort of um, like fractal, if that's the right description. They're not images, they're not shapes, they're not real things in the world. But I was forever, I think that was an kind of calmness activity, and I would just draw shapes, very kind of, and kind of spiders, webby type drawings. So I think, yeah, I mean, and you could do that really quickly. Draw a shape. I mean, literally, what shape you feeling? If you can do that, you know.
Yes, if you were going to be a drink, would you be, I don't know, a very, very cold glass of milk? Would you be a boiling hot cup of tea? Yeah, there's all sorts you could really push it through. I think I might just stick to the words. Julie, do you want to add something in? Because I know you were going to tell us, for example, more about calm and just the things that are happening in general for World Mental Health Day. Is there a theme?
Yeah, I think it's about getting people to talk about it. I think that's generally the theme. Um, I think that's okay. I think if people are aware, that helps. It is an awareness day after all. But I think ultimately, in my own experience, I spent years, decades actually, in and out of psychiatric hospitals when I was a kid and a young person. I've got a very strong sense that you can't you can't get into anybody's head when they're in that sort of state. They certainly couldn't have got into mine. What helped, I think, possibly was having people move alongside me, and that broke down the isolation. I couldn't communicate, and a lot of people can't communicate easily. So I think just being alongside somebody, it's useful to have a distraction if you can, if you're able to go for a walk, um, or listen to some music. We've got the playlists, which I think are excellent. Or distract yourself by watching something on the television that has no point. I mean, Formula One comes into mind here, but sort of like if you've got something that just distracts you from a few minutes, and if you can extend that time further and further, almost like a step program, so that you can distract yourself for 10 minutes and then maybe go to the loo or move, come back again, or watch a program for half an hour, move and come back again. That half hour has passed, that 10 minutes has passed, so you've got through another period of time. And then hopefully as the day progresses, there might be more to distract you. There's certainly more on the television in the evenings and the radios. So and there are helplines. Use them.
Yeah, thank you for that, Julie. That's very helpful indeed and very powerful. We had Mental Health Awareness Week in the UK back in the summer where the theme was kindness. And I think it's really stayed with me that what Robin said at the time is we have to start by being kind to each other. There are many people of all ages experiencing mental health difficulties for the first time, unsurprisingly. I remember, not in the context of mental health, but perhaps more in terms of holistic health, a very wise consultant whose name rather hilariously was Mr. Croc. And what Mr. Croc said to me I don't know, sort of back in the 90s when I'd finished my PhD, I'd split up with my partner who's my carer and so on and so forth. And he said, what you've got to remember is there's enough stress to drag a cart horse under. And if you're still standing, you're doing well, but you've still experienced that stress. None of us can deny that this is probably the most challenging period in world's history for 100 years. We're all that cart horse pulling against, if you like, the most and dragging behind us as we continue on our way burdens that we can't actually get rid of at the moment. So we need to be kind to ourselves and say, well, if we are experiencing any kind of symptoms that we wouldn't have done in the past, it's not surprising. And, as always, impairment is normal. It's a normal part of human life. Josh.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of follow on from what Julie was saying. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. There's such a strong connection between physical activity and mental health. And if that does mean you can get out and go for a walk or a run in your local park, if you can do that, or it might just be doing some stretching in at home, or getting on YouTube and finding a meditation video or something, that a little bit of physical activity does help with mental health. But I think the other thing that you were saying around kind of distractions and things, I was listening to Kristen Bell talk, who's an actress, about her struggles with mental health. And she said you just need to do the next thing. If you wake up and you just like, I can't deal with today, don't deal with, okay, I need to brush my teeth. Go and brush your teeth. Then you need to go and eat some cereal. Go and eat your cereal. And then just at each stage, okay, what's the next right thing that I need to do? And do that. And like you said, if you get through 10 minutes, you can get through the next 10 minutes and the next 10 minutes. So yeah, if you are feeling overwhelmed, don't think about what you've got to do in 3 years' time. Think about what you've got to do in the next 3 minutes.
Yeah, we're all on a time ship at the moment. I mean, hilariously, my genuine name is Dr. Jew, which I quite like, particularly as I have an assistant's dog, K9. We've been stuck in the studio without going out for over 6 months now. And I know at one point, because I've got these sort of little triangular shaped foam walls in the studio, which are soundproofing, he said it's just like the TARDIS. And we thought, yes, we are traveling through time to the point when it's safe to go out again. And I think in mental health, it can be about let's just travel through the next few minutes and we've got somewhere. And now we've only got to get through the next few minutes. But having said that, we have got less than a minute left on air. So it just falls to me to say on Monday, we will have our usual app date, where I will also be discussing why fitness and health are not necessarily the same thing, having just been shackled to an Apple Watch as part of my so-called flexible social care package. We have a range of things on a Monday, but we focus, as I say, on photography, film and performance, and we will be announcing the main acts for the Together Disability History Month Festival, but we'll also be having a very special guest. So look forward to that. The show, as always, will be up with enhanced recordings and captions later. Something for the weekend, along with all of our highlights, links, and videos, will be online on our page by about 6 o'clock tonight. And if you want to explore the other pages, you can also have a look at our Together anthems that you can sing along with, or cheer yourself up a bit more by looking at some of our animal hosts. Most recently seen really love bombing Julie in the middle of a rather important speech. So we all enjoyed that. I'm collecting outtakes for our festive Christmas episode. So with that, I will just say stay home, stay creative, and stay well. That's it from Together Unlocked for another week.
Have a
Goodbye.
great weekend, people.